Howdy friends, welcome back to Toybox Nostalgia. I'm Douglas, and in this video we're going to be unboxing and reviewing and taking a very close look at the absolute brand new Super7 2024 Ultimates. This is an Ultimates action figure of the Martian from Mars Attacks. This is beautiful. This is an absolute work of art. If you're a fan of Mars Attacks, you probably want to get your hands on this quickly because I don't know how long these are going to be available. But if you're a fan of the channel, you know that I am a huge fan of Mars Attacks, and being a die-hard, try-hard Mars Attacks fan, I'm going to have to start this video off with a little bit of history on the actual cards that these action figures are based off of, because technically you can't have one without the other. And I promise you it's going to be a fun story. You're going to learn about the controversy that surrounded Mars Attacks and a lot of incredible people. Absolutely awesome, talented, wonderful people. It's going to be fun. We'll have some fun. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but Garbage Pail Kids weren't Topps' first controversial release, by far, actually. The reason why I chose Garbage Pail Kids just because, you know, it was me, I was a kid in the 80s. I used to absolutely adore those cards. The experience, actually, not even just the cards, the whole experience, the smell of the bubble gum and that white powder that was on it, and the just tearing open that wax pack, which I'm never going to get that again, unfortunately. Anyways, the Mars Attacks release was probably a lot worse. I don't think they got sued. They definitely, from the text that I read while doing research to this video, Topps didn't get sued for that like they did for the Garbage Pail Kids release, but it's still very controversial. This is a gory story. This is... Honestly, the people at Topps are absolutely brave, and I admire that so much. If you're new to Toybox Nostalgia, you'd love to see more content like this show up into your YouTube newsfeed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It truly helps out the channel, and thank you so much to everyone that subscribed so far. It truly means the world to me. I can't wait to see where this channel goes. If you're a fan of Topps, if you're a fan of Mars Attacks, or Martians, or outer space, or aliens, or non-sport trading cards, give me a thumbs up, or obviously Super7 and the Ultimates line, you know. If you're a fan of any of that stuff, give me a thumbs up. I'd love you so much forever for it. Please drop a comment below letting me know if you're going to get this action figure or not. If you do, I do have an affiliate link I'll put in the description of the video. It just goes to help out the channel. Thank you so much for watching, my friends. Give me about 10 seconds to set up the lighting and everything here, and I'm gonna catch you after this quick break. Alright, my friends, let's start from the top. So Mars Attacks was created in 1962 by a man named Woody Gelman, who was a publisher, cartoonist, novelist, and artist-writer for both animation and comic books. Len Brown was the co-creator, who was a writer, editor, and radio personality and comic book scripter during his lifetime. Both Gelman and Brown worked at Topps at the time. Mars Attacks was supposed to be 1962's modern-day take on H.G. Wells' famous 1898 War of the Worlds in non-sport trading card form. And I think the Topps did a great job with this. The creative design process began with Brown and Gelman bringing in Wally Wood, who was a popular comic book artist at the time, and he was tasked with creating the artwork to be printed onto the cards. He was brought in because of his work on a cover of A Weird Science Volume 1, number 16, which was published in November of 1952, and it featured a space alien emerging from a spaceship. So it totally makes sense that Len and Woody wanted to bring in Wally Wood. It's like super obvious too, like the alien on the Weird Science cover very closely resembles that of the aliens depicted in the original Mars Attacks artwork. That original copy of Weird Science goes upwards of $650 today on auction, but it was in fact re-released in 1985 under the Weird Science Classics issue number 1 that goes for a much substantially less cost on auction. So if you want to check it out and pick it up, I definitely look for the 1985 re-release. But that's all that Wally Wood contributed, according to text. Another artist named Bob Powell, who was an American comic book artist known for his work during the 1930s and 40s, was brought in to sketch out the infamous scenes of the Mars Attacks cards. Bob Powell was known for his work on the violently themed Civil War news cards that were also a great choice for Topps to depict a worldwide massacre. but this time it's simply brought on by invaders from outer space. So Powell created multiple sketches per scene. He was given descriptions, and they were done on 5x7-inch print boards. After Brown and Gelman chose their favorite sketch for each card, Powell went back and cleaned up and darkened the sketches to be painted over by another artist. The team now had a full set of 55 5x7-inch sketchboards. Next in line to help complete the art by adding in the finishing touch was my personal favorite pulp artist of all time, and that is Norman Saunders. I have this incredible book right here. It's called just Norman Saunders. It's a big, thick, hardcover book, and it's kind of rare. It's kind of expensive, but if you're into this type of thing, like this type of pulp artwork, this book is just absolutely filled with it. From concept art all the way up to photographs that were used for the design process, and even the full paintings themselves. Norman Saunders' artwork inspired me so much that I actually took a toy photo that featured his Mars Attacks themed self-portrait that you see in this card right here. I played on the fact that the Martians were simply ruthless killers, and yeah, that's why he's shown here just blasting away at the painting that he had finished. Anyways, Saunders used gouache paint and painted directly onto the sketches done by Powell. So the sad fact here is that the original card sketches done by Bob Powell are encased forever on those original 5x7 cards within Norman's paint. Saunders meticulously painted the 5x7 cards under a magnifying glass. Each card, as you see, was blazoned with brilliantly vivid colors. The paintings were semi-realistic, perfect working shadows and lighting, and Norman's paintings lit the imaginations of everyone who laid their eyes on them. Each card face presented a vividly detailed story in and of itself that took its viewer for a dramatic, thrilling ride into the darkest areas of what if. So I do have 5x7 renditions of these cards, but unfortunately they're cropped really badly. But here you can see this is the size that Norman Saunders was working with. It's also said that Norman Saunders painted the original Mars Attacks logo that you can see right here, and also the Attack from Space logo, as you see from right there. To me, the artwork in the Mars Attacks cards alone, I feel like justifies Topps actually opening up a museum dedicated specifically to Mars Attacks. I don't know, somewhere like in New York City where Topps used to be. And it can celebrate the bravery of the Topps employees from 1962 that wrote and designed Mars Attacks, and also like the unique imagination and unchallenged talent that the Topps artists had back then. Like, that would be absolutely awesome. I would totally like make the 6-hour drive to go there just to see that museum. Anyways, when these cards were finally presented to Topps, specifically the president of Topps, the whole painting process had taken about 6 months to complete. Topps president Joel Shoren insisted that at least a dozen of them required rework, as they depicted gore, mayhem, and sexual themes that were not suitable for children in the 1960s. I guess they lacked an age rating system back then, and in the early 60s they knew that a box of packs of cards sitting on a checkout counter in a store was pretty much free game to anyone of any age, but definitely going to catch the eye of kids, especially Mars Attacks, you know? It's intriguing. Another step that Topps took in the cover your ass direction was to publish the cards under a fake name called Bubbles Inc. That's awesome. I don't know, they were making gum at the time too, so that's just awesome. The initial release of the cards was done in a relatively small region, and the cards were an instant success. Although there was one major problem, and that was concerned, whining parents, annoying teachers, and even crybaby district attorney, all of which wrote letters or called Topps. And some asinine teachers even had the gall to force children to write letters to Topps asking them for cards that were more educational, with less science fiction or fantasy. I don't know. That the reason why we know this is because, in fact, one of the kids actually had the bravery to write underneath it a small postscripture that said, "Our teachers are making us write these. In fact, we love the Mars Attacks cards." So not knowing what else to do with all the hate mail and the phone calls and stuff, I guess Topps unfortunately had to halt production on the cards. But this only increased the demand for the original cards. You can imagine the kids, they were probably pissed off, you know? And even in today's market, they're incredibly rare because they weren't like released in a broader region that was more consistent to, say, like releasing baseball cards or football cards, you know? So after that, Mars Attacks kind of fell off the radar to like the 80s. They were re-released on poorly printed cards by Renata Galasso. Here's an example of those cards right here. This is the full set. Renata Galasso was a baseball card collector. I believe she started a business just selling and collecting baseball cards just to pay her tuition. So, you know, it's nice that she got this to be re-released and everything, but the print quality is just really bad. It's completely blurry. You could definitely tell they're just simply photographs of the actual cards themselves. So here's an official re-release right here from Topps. This is from the Heritage set that came out in 2012. It very closely resembles the original cards from my opinion. And here's the Renata Galasso. As you can see, it's not only is it blurry, as you take a look there, it's also cropped really weird. You know, you could see more information on the Topps card. And you can even see from the spaceship right there, like part of it's missing on the Renata Galasso, but also it's just like blurry, just like really blurry. So as you see, it's like the one on the top from Topps is just much sharper. Also in 1988, Mars Attacks comic books were printed and sold in the US by Pocket Comics. This is literally the entire set right here. We only got 4, unfortunately, before they were canceled. And I don't know why. These are really, really awesome. And they were sold in sets of 2. So wave 1 would be number 1 and 2. Wave 2 would be 3 and 4. And wave 3 was supposed to be 5 and 6, and as you see right there, that's the books that were supposed to come out, but unfortunately it was canceled. And honestly, again, I don't know why. These are like really good. Like, these are awesome. Not only does it show the original cards, but the little comic book stories are really cool in this. I did do a video on these. If you'd like to see that, I'll place a link in the video itself or in the description. Topps had also expanded the original 55 card set to 100 in the mid-1990s. A famous movie creator, Tim Burton, directed a feature film for Warner Brothers where the story was technically based off of the cards themselves, not written by Tim Burton, though I think he's credited for some of the writing of that movie, but he's pretty much just the director. But I do have this set here, right here. This is a full set of the Topps Wide Vision cards that were released at the time of that movie. Here's what they look like next to a regular card. You can see that's why they're called Wide Vision. They're just wider. They are in fact the same height though, but just much wider. Since then, there have been multiple spin-offs, re-releases, and other Mars Attacks merchandise available to consumers worldwide. So Mars Attacks toys and action figures were released by companies such as Trendmasters, Mezco, and Super7. In fact, before the Super7 Ultimates versions that we're about to review that just came out, Mars Attacks Martians were also released in the form of reaction figures, as you see right here. I never opened these because I feel like reaction figures are meant to be on card, but each one of these, as you see on the card itself, displays the artwork of the actual Topps card from 1962 that these action figures are based off of, which is really cool. I mean, this guy looks really good, and obviously this was like a premonition of exactly what the Martian would have looked like in Ultimates form, just much smaller and less articulation, obviously. The backs of these are really cool. We got that old-fashioned Topps logo, and a synopsis of the story that is written out on the backs of those original cards, and it shows all 3 that you can collect. I believe there were actually 4, but this is the 3 that I have. I think this guy came out, or maybe all of them did, in glow-in-the-dark versions. Obviously, as you saw in that toy photo still, I do have the Mezco version of the Mars Attacks Martian Commander that we can use to compare. You know, this obviously is going to look a lot different. It's made by a separate company, though it's supposed to represent the same character on those cards. So we'll take a close look at that. Also coming up in the future, we do have a set of Mars Attacks action figures coming from Premium DNA, but if I were to speculate, I'd say they won't be out for another year or 2, though the pre-orders went up for them about a year or 2 ago. And finally, that brings us to the review and unboxing and super detailed look at the new Super7 Ultimates Mars Attacks Martian action figure. Right here, my friends. Look at this packaging. This is absolutely awesome because of the fact that it's so simple. It kind of just looks like screen printing right here. I wouldn't change anything about any of the colors or any of the artwork on this because This, honestly, this is an absolute beautiful tribute to that original card set. So taking a look at the top, ages 14 plus right here. It says Super 7 on the top right. And then we see our action figure in this massive window that wraps around to the sides. We do see all of the additional components that come with the action figure. And then down here we have that awesome Mars Attacks logo. Now this isn't the one that was printed by Norman Saunders, as we talked about before, because I could see a lot of differences in them. For instance, if you take a look at this, which is from Topps' Heritage set right here, take a look at the A right there. That's where it's going to be really, really obvious. See, the A's are completely different. And then just the way that this kind of arcs right here is different from this. This is kind of straight. And then right here on the S, you could see it almost looks like an upside down middle finger there. And it's just not as apparent here. So maybe this is, you know, the product of like years and years of copying and pasting and copying and pasting and copying, you know, just to kind of make it a little less detailed. But we do get that really cool little spaceship right here with the number 1 on it, and the invasion begins. So this is going to be action figure number 1 in this set. And then we do get that really awesome artwork that is in fact on the cover here of the 50 Years of Mayhem, like the Heritage book right here, the big binder that you just saw with all of my cards. Flipping over to the back, we have the original artwork from the card packs themselves. Really big right here on the top. I think that's an absolute awesome touch. Super 7 absolutely nailed it as far as, like, you know, paying tribute to those original cards, in my opinion. I think this artwork, the whole presentation is perfect. We do get a picture of the original card right here, The Invasion Begins. And then we get this blurb right here. I will bring it up here so you can pause it if you like to read it. Here at the bottom says Super 7, super7.com. We do get licensed by Topps up here. And then here's the barcode in case you need it. Let's go ahead and tear this open, my friends. Okay, my friends, this is everything that we get in the package. We get the action figure, all of the accessories, the hands and everything inside of this simple little bubble. And then we have the background, the backdrop, or whatever you want to call it for the action figure in the Ultimates. This is going to be a massive spiral. So this is pretty rad because a lot of science fiction stuff having to do with aliens and ray guns and stuff kind of always had a spiral in it. But also Tim Burton, he's almost always using spirals in his art of his movies, his books and everything. So that's kind of awesome. I think that was a really cool design choice by Super 7. This is just like a nice flat finish cardboard. And then the back is just raw cardboard. And then as we see inside the box, it's just all raw cardboard on the inside. Taking a look at the action figure and the accessories in the bubble, we can see that, well, there's some plastic bands that we're going to have to cut. Technically I only see one, but I do see tape. See, there's tape here holding on the gun, darn it. But I'm going to get that off and I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is, my friends. You get an action figure, you get 2 guns, and you get 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of hands total, plus 1 extra hand, which is a pointing finger, probably so that you can recreate that beautiful image on The Invasion Begins. So let's start off by taking a look at the action figure details, my friends. Take a look at that face. That is awesome. The bubble looks really nice, although we do have a large kind of, I guess, a nipple or something up here at the top. That's kind of a shame, but that's okay. And when you're taking photographs of it, you probably won't be able to see it unless you're going from the top down. And then, yeah, photoshopping that out because of the design pattern on the brain might be a little tricky, but that's okay. I'm just going to remove it for now. You can, in fact, take it off, as you saw, so that we could get a really close look at this absolutely beautiful head. So the eyes are like an off-white color, almost like a cream color, and then they have red pupils. The skull looks fantastic, and the teeth are the same color as the eyes. It's kind of like a bone color. So inside the temples, there's like this weird hexagonal pattern design that looks really cool. You see that there? That's neat. It does have the big jaw piece. I always assumed that was part of their jaw, how their jaws moved on the sides of their heads. They did really well with that. The sculpt of the brain looks absolutely awesome. There is definitely a paint wash in there that is a really good color choice. And then we have these tendril-like pieces right here that hang down from the cheeks that look like they may possibly be separate pieces glued on, but I'm not 100% sure. It's too hard to tell because this is small and there's so much detail going on. Pretty crazy. Flipping over to the back of the head, we do see some of those muscles right there that connect into this like jawbone piece right here that go up into the center of the brain. That looks really good. Okay, moving down to the torso, take a look at this. This is so cool. I love the colors. They're so vibrant and beautiful. The design really sticks out. It's really 3D right there. And I think that the fact that all these pieces are painted different colors really makes it stick out perfectly. And the colors really do match the Martians on the card really well, to be honest with you, from the cards that I have anyways. I really like that. We have this tube system, or like this air system, where they get this Martian air into their suit, and it goes up inside of here, comes through these little tubes right here up into the suit, and then maybe there's some sort of speaker here or filter for the Martians to yell at the Earthlings as they're torturing them and killing them. Like, I absolutely love all of the detail. The attention to detail Super 7 did right here is perfect. I love that. Except for one thing I noticed right away. There's something that's kind of strange about it. I feel like this part of the body, like the whole torso and the pelvis part's just too short. From here to here should match. So it should technically be maybe almost like another centimeter in body length here. And I'm getting that from like just taking a look at all the cards that I have. So that's one thing I noticed that isn't 100% correct. And I know sometimes I would say something like, well, it doesn't have to be perfect. But in this case, because they put so much emphasis on making the box art, resemble the cards, I feel like it kind of has to be perfect for the cards. And then there's the argument where there may be some inconsistencies with some of the cards, just simply because they were all painted by, just by hand. So, and they're painted pretty quickly too. 55 cards in 6 months. That's not an easy task. So moving down to the suit, take a look at the design pattern in the suit. Kind of makes it look like accordion a little bit, just like a spacesuit would be. And then they chose this really awesome shiny green color that's almost, I feel like it's a perfect hue for this to make it really stand out. I think they did a fantastic job on that. I absolutely love the fact that the gloves are yellow and green. So on the Mezco version, it was just all straight up yellow. And the reason why I really like this green right here, there we go, put it on the left hand, not the wrong hand. If we take a look at that right there, and I'm going to show you an image from the actual card itself. Okay, so here is the biggest version I have of this, but take a look at that. We could see there is green, like there's green in the finger, there's green in the thumb. There's also a little bit of green right there at the wristband, and then everything else is yellow in the glove, and then it goes to this green. So this is perfect. I love the fact that Super 7 actually put that detail in there. And it was like, besides the fact that the Mezco one couldn't stand worth a damn, and it seemed like it was too skinny, and like there was a lot of problems with it. The hands thing, I couldn't stop looking at the Mezco hands. So thank you, Super 7. That is awesome. Moving down to the legs, we continue with that really awesome design pattern right there of the spacesuit. And then we have these boots that are perfect. Like, I love the green on the bottom of the boots also. I think that was a wonderful touch done by the creators at Super 7. Flipping over to the back, here's the, I guess, I don't know what the atmosphere is like on Mars, but it's definitely probably not oxygen, or maybe these turn oxygen into something that is more breathable for Martians. I'm not sure. If that truly is the case, I don't understand why they chose our planet. Maybe because we have so much minerals and stuff here. I don't know. But look at this. Just look at that right there. That is really cool looking. It's so detailed, but yet so simple at the same time. Like, everything just juts out at you. All of the cuts in the sculpt, everything just really jumps out at you. And I love that about this action figure. So down here, it looks like we have this piece right here, which connects to a gun. And it also goes up into the holster. We have this holster here, so we can place like the handgun here into the holster, just like that. And on the bottom of the gun right there, we could see on the handle, like at the butt of the handle, that's probably where this connects right here. Okay, so here he is with the ray gun in his hand. I had to warm his hand up a little bit to get the gun to fit in there, but it's super easy. And now this piece right here, since I warmed it up, it actually comes in and out really easily. So that's the handgun piece right there that's connected to the suit. I wasn't really planning on going into the accessories right away, but you know, this being part of the Martian suit actually makes sense. Everything about this looks really good. The only problem is that honestly, I just kind of wish that the torso were a little bit longer, but you know, other than that, this is going to look absolutely awesome in toy photograph. Here's the bubble by itself. Looks like it has like some chips in it right there, but it's just like a very brittle feeling plastic. So you probably want to be super careful with that. Now, let's move on to the hands. So we already know that we have the trigger finger hands. So we saw this one right here for the gun. Here's the other one. Take a look at that. Man, I just love that. And so the hinge goes into the top of the wrist too. That's really cool. Also, this probably needs warmed up. Everything seems kind of stiff because this is brand new. And then we have like an open hand. You know, we have two of those, and the hinge on both of them goes into the palm. So you see right there. Very, very cool. So here's the two gripping hands. These are a little bit different from the trigger finger hands. As you can see, the forefinger doesn't jut out, you know, for a trigger. So these are just your basic gripping hands. And then we get two fists. Both of them came on the action figure. I took this off to put the trigger finger on just to show you how this piece works as part of the action figure. So I don't think any of this stuff comes off. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like, you know, after handling the Mezco one for so long, I'm just afraid this whole entire thing's gonna be insanely brittle. But it doesn't feel that way. You know, now that I'm like messing around with it, like these tubes are definitely rubber. Everything else is like a hard plastic. The whole thing is a matte finish, except for where it doesn't need to be, and that is the accents in the suit and like the silver and stuff. You know, all the accents, even the accents of the boots. Take a look at the bottom there. You do have peg holes also. His right boot says Tops on it. That is just so cool. And then his left boot says Super7. Oh man, that is great. I love that. All right, so next up is the accessories. We have this massive gun right here. I love this gun. It looks awesome. Very futuristic and something that you would see, I feel like, in sci-fi that's vintage sci-fi. This piece right here actually moves. This piece that I guess it's like, I guess loads the weapon and discharges something. I don't know. Or maybe it's just to make it easier for the action figure to hold in different positions. If that's the case, Super7, that is the coolest thing I think I've ever seen you do. Honestly, it's so simple. But the ingenuity that went into that is amazing. I love that. And then, this is my favorite accessory right here, the ray gun. Look at the colors they chose on it. That's amazing. The paint application on everything in this box is razor sharp. And the colors that they chose are fantastic. They used the shiny where it needed to be shiny. They used the matte finish where it needed to be matte finish. All right, so articulation, my friends. Let's start with the head. So the head is most likely on a ball joint. Yep, as you see right there, it's on a ball joint right there. There's a ball inside the head that snaps into the neck itself. Take a look at that neck while we're at it, right? That's one hell of an Adam's apple. Very strange. So we're going to get a good range of motion here. You know, you get a little bit of tilt, but because the head's so long, it's going to look like it's a lot more tilt. So that was a good idea from Super7. The long neck needed to be there, I think, because of the big bulky suit and you know, the long head. So looking up, you can look up pretty far. That's good. And looking down, not really. And we don't have an ab crunch. So if he needs to look down to say shoot someone's dog, because that happens in the cards, by the way, he's going to be bent down, you know, a little bit. So it's going to look a little bit goofy. Moving down to the arm is on a hinge. As you see right there, it can move in and out, and most likely on a peg or a ball because it can swivel 360. Moving down to the wrist, we do have a hinge at the wrist. Really good range of movement there. It's really articulation. And then we swivel. So he won't necessarily be able to bring his fist all the way up to his face, but in reality, that kind of makes sense because he's wearing a giant spacesuit, right? We saw that the hands are on pegs, so obviously we're going to swivel 360 degrees, and every peg is a hinge in the hand itself. So in the case of this one, you can see it goes into the palm. Moving down to the waist, we don't have any drop down in the pelvis here. We do have a good amount of articulation here. This part right here is might get jammed up, you know, because of the holster, but you know, you can lift this tube as you may have seen me just do, just to get more articulation. I don't know why you would want to pose one like this unless it were dead, for, you know, display purposes or toy photography scenarios or something. But look at that motion. That's crazy. I can see a peg in there. So it's definitely on a peg that's probably connecting both of the legs together at some point. But there's also this crazy hinge, and on the hinge, you could see it, you could get it to swivel right there. See that? There's a swivel on a ball. That's really smart. And a hinge inside there. Wow, that's honestly, that's an awesome design. Moving down to the knee, we swivel at the knee, thankfully. It's one of the things I hated about the Mezco one. And also the joints down here, that we have a hinge and it ratchets. And it ratchets really well if it doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything. Moving down to the foot, we have just take a look at that. We have a ratcheting hinge right there and a rocker. We have a rocker. How cool is that? Oh, so yeah, the articulation on this buddy is is really good. I love that. Like, look, his knees are out and his feet are spread apart, but at the same time, his feet are also can be flat on the ground. Very cool. So the articulation for this, it's above par if you ask me, considering how bulky the action figure truly is. Even though it doesn't look that bulky with the massive spacesuit, it's pretty big. So that's it. That is the details, the paint application, the articulation, all of the accessories, all of the hands. This is what you get with the Super 7 Ultimates Martian Commander. This is awesome. So if you want to move his head, you know, you're going to have to remove this piece first and turn his head and then just put the piece back on. And just be very gentle with it. This does feel like pretty brittle plastic, the clear part. All right, here we go. Let's take a good comparison look here. So obviously the Super 7 action figure is definitely taller, probably by almost an inch, to be honest with you. I really like the design of the Super 7 head a lot more than the Mezco head. I love the paint application, obviously so much superior. I love the fact that these tubes are larger, though if I were to make this action figure, I probably would have made the tubes here in between the large size and the small Mezco size to kind of match the cards a little bit better. But then again, there's probably inconsistencies with the cards. But take a look at these gloves. You know, those fingers look awesome. They truly do look awesome. I love the way that looks. But this green just kills it for me. I love it. So let's take a look at the ray guns. So the Mezco ray gun is on the bottom here, and then we have the Super 7 ray gun on the top. The Mezco one kind of looks more to me like a ray gun from Mars Attacks, but this one matches the era. I feel like a little bit more from the 1960s whenever they would make sci-fi, the Super 7 version. So there's pluses and minuses to both. If you take a look at the torso, they're pretty much the same length, and that's what I was talking about before. So from this part right here, just below the mouth, you know, all the way down to the bottom of the pelvis, you know, I feel like the Super 7 one could have been a little bit longer, but that would have set the action figure a little higher in size. Wouldn't match that 7-inch scale anymore. But that's okay too. You know, who knows? Maybe this is like Tim Burton and the entire alien fits inside here. His whole body fits in here, and this is just like a robot kind of. Like a Krang, you know, big brain and then Krang, right? Wait a minute, is that where Krang came from? I don't know. These joints. So this leg doesn't even move anymore at all. Take a look at how bad that is. The manufacturing of it's just like that's moving, but the hinge isn't at all. It's really, really bad. The feet down here, there's no articulation in the Mezco feet, no articulation in the Mezco wrists. So yeah, this is as close as you'll get to the Martian's head with the hand. And then with articulation for the Super 7 version, you know, he's like touching. He's essentially touching his globe on the Super 7 version. So, you know, he can't really touch his face, but he can touch his head for sure. As you see right there, he's scratching his head. You know, brain that big's got to be itchy. Take a look at the canisters. There's a slight difference in the canister here. One kind of looks like it's upside down. So if you take a look at the artwork right here, those lines right there are on the bottoms. So the Mezco one is actually more accurate in that aspect right there. Or maybe, honestly, maybe this was just glued on upside down by Super7. Not 100% sure. Or the manufacturer in China. That's the comparison there. Like, again, it's hard to compare these because they're two different companies. They're two different sizes. One has a hell of a lot more articulation and a lot more detail and vibrant colors. And I'm sorry, I'm very happy that Super7 made this because I'm such a huge Mars Attacks fan. I guess I'm going to have to figure out how I can buy a bunch of these to army build. I don't know, maybe Super7 will one day see this video and send me some. That would be awesome. None of my videos are sponsored, but hey, you know, it's worth a shot. So let's now do a test to see whether or not it can stand. Yes, it can stand. All right, let's do another test to see how tall this Martian is. So the Martian stands pretty much exactly at the 7-inch mark. So that's it, my friends. I hope that you enjoyed the unboxing and review and very close look, including an in-depth history of Mars Attacks with this video tonight. And if you did, please consider hitting the thumbs up button. That truly helps me out. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Please drop a comment below letting me know what you think of this absolutely beautiful take on the Martian Commander from the Mars Attacks cards from the 1960s, done by Super7. Super7 made this. This is crazy to me. It's just, my mind is blown. I don't know what else to say, but anyways, right now is probably a good time to go ahead and set up one of those toy photos. So let's do that, my friends.